I'm really excited. And I'm glad that you recently moved down here from Orange County.
Yes.
And I think of you as such an Orange County person. What do you think of the difference between Orange County and San Diego?
Oh, the energy is a little bit slower, which I like. Yeah, it's a little bit more frantic in Orange County.
Really?
It's more like, I kind of think of like Orange County as like an endless suburbia attached to LA.
Totally. Yes. It really is, actually, huh?
And so, like, it's a little bit more country.
Yeah.
A little bit closer to where I'm from.
Yeah.
So I like it so far.
Right.
And it's only been a month, so I'm still, like, kind of figuring out.
Oh, it's really recent.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right around the beginning of August.
Okay. So when I saw you at the H&I, right? You had maybe just moved down.
Yeah. That was, like, the first week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, guys, I've known Eric in and around 12-step for a long time, but I hadn't ever heard your story. And then we did an H&I panel together, and I was kind of blown away because I was really wrong too about my assumptions. Yeah, so
tell me the assumption.
My assumption was I thought you were from Orange County originally, and I thought you were like.
I'm a little offended by that, but
I understand why. I thought you were like a rich guy.
Oh no, definitely not. No.
I know, and not that there would be anything wrong with that. Of course,
yeah.
I wish I was a rich girl.
Me
you
too.
know? But like, I thought you were a rich LA Orange County guy, and
No.
I've always thought that for the years that I've known you, and it always really intimidated me to like. When I remember when I did breath work up there. Okay, when I got there, and you were there, I was like, oh, fuck, like. The rich guy's here. He's going to know if this isn't bad, if this isn't good. Isn't that weird?
I was working at that facility to breath work at that time, making $19 an hour.
Okay, right.
So, rich guy for sure.
But first, I just thought you were from there and that you were like, I don't know. I know. And then when you were sharing, and I mean, and all of that, hopefully is kind of a good thing. It's because you present well, and it's because I met you in Orange County. And I thought you owned a treatment center. I thought you owned that rehab.
No.
Which is what made me think, like, oh, he must be from here with a wealthy family and they opened a rehab or something.
No, like so ever since getting sober, like I've worked in the treatment industry, done most jobs on like the clinical side of it. And my second job, I owned an adventure therapy company, which basically was 3 guys doing adventure therapy service, and we were contracting the treatment centers.
Oh, that's cool.
So you may have heard like that I had a company and then just assumed treatment industry, he must own a treatment center, but that's not even close.
Interesting. That's so wait, what is adventure therapy? That sounds really cool.
So basically we replaced a day of treatment for these treatment centers that we contracted with, and instead of them sitting in a group room, we would take them out and do some psychoed, some like teaching around like nervous system, anxiety, stuff like
really
that.
Cool.
And be outside doing ropes courses,
trust falls,
rappelling, climbing, camping. Our biggest like seller was always wolf assisted therapy, which that's the reaction that we got often from that.
A real wolf?
Real wolf. So,
where'd you find the wolf?
So another friend in the program just randomly found out in Julian, there's this little like mom and pop wolf rescue. And then they change into it's now called the Wolf Education Project. And basically this guy gets wolves that are bred to be in zoos, and he does educational programs throughout Southern California. And one of his main goals is to reduce stigma around wolves and educate the public, because they are an important part of the ecosystem. And when they're removed, the whole environment suffers. Oh, wow. And when wolves are reintroduced into the natural environment, they're often hunted. Yeah. They're often killed, and we often we lose a big part of what needs to be there. Oh wow, that's really cool. You know what's crazy? I wanna like maybe go there to that. Sure. Like I want the information because when we do breath work, when I do like super intense sessions, like hour long, 90-minute long, this is gonna sound really weird. I have this same vision over and over and over again. It starts from really small and it gets bigger. And it's a wolf face. It just visits me every time I do breath work. Isn't that strange? In October. Yes. Miguan is the name of the wolf.
Okay.
You can come meet him.
Okay.
At a little event that we're doing. So,
oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I've always wondered, because it's not like my, obviously it's no astrological sign, but it's not my astrology sign. I've never like wanted a wolf tattoo. I have had no, like I've never been, but it's just the same. So it came organically. Isn't that weird?
Wolves have been like an intimate part of humans' lives for 40,000 years. The anthropologists that study this, like, will often say, as much as we've domesticated wolves, and like your pugs are basically hyper-bred wolves down to a different size, but they started as wolves. And as much as we've affected the DNA of wolves, they have affected us.
That's so cool.
Humans that survived, caveman times, those kind of things. Groups of humans that formed bonds with wolves often were more successful and then survived longer. So we've domesticated them, and they have also domesticated us.
Oh,
so
that's
they are
fascinating.
in our DNA.
In our DNA. Oh,
Yes.
that's really cool. Okay, well then I definitely want to get that information from you.
Absolutely.
Skylar actually jokes about the pugs. Eric just met the pugs. And like occasionally one of them will be like, woo! And it's like this baby howl. And Skylar will be like, that's your 1% wolf coming out. You got like 1% left. These little guys.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Are you still doing the adventure therapy? No.
In a much different form, much bigger scale now.
Right.
Now I've
now you do have your own treatment center.
Now I do have my own treatment center, and we're focused a lot on, it's a treatment center, but really I'm a huge 12-step guy.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the science shows that mutual support groups like 12-step groups are much more effective at treating addiction than treatment centers are. So even though we are an addiction treatment center, primarily we like to focus on the underlying things.
Okay.
So we're a men's only program, and a big flavor of what we do is men's trauma work. That's like a big portion of what we do. Healthy masculinity, a lot of healthy men's work, and where that kind of intersects with recovery is how we're positioned and how we work with guys primarily.
Okay.
So
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Remind me, I want to get a little bit more detailed about that.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, totally. When we get there.
Yeah.
But so as I learned from H&I and was like, wow, I was totally wrong, is that you're not from Orange County.
No.
You're from Ohio.
From a little nothing town in Ohio called Sunbury.
Okay. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it's a great little like Mayberry
Is it an
type
actual
kind of
cute
feel.
town?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's aptly named.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about like your childhood and growing up and who was in the house and...
So I grew up immediate family. I have two sisters, mom and dad. I have a huge extended family. I have 96 first cousins. I have 34 aunts and uncles. When you combine both my mom's side and my dad's side.
So both of them just had a ton of kids. Both their families.
Yes,
except for 91 cousins.
We're the small family with three.
With three.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Did they all live in Sunbury? All the people?
No. We moved. My mom's side of the family is much more in Western Ohio. Okay. My dad's side of the family is up near Cleveland.
But still, all Ohio.
All Ohio.
Wow. Yeah. Do you know all their names?
Mostly.
I mean, I'm sure you do. I guess it's really a dumb question.
Mostly, like no. My first cousins, yes, but now all of them have partners and kids now too, and I don't know all their.
Keep track of them, but you know all the cousins' names.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it like fun family reunion stuff? Is it fun or is it really like dysfunctional?
Both.
Both, yeah.
Both.
As soon as I asked, I was like, he's going to say both. Because everyone's family is both.
Yes.
My reunions are like that too. It's not as many, we haven't had one in a long time, but when we did, super fun, but like people getting super drunk. It's both. It's dysfunctional and fun.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the family dynamic.
Absolutely, yeah.
Universally, you know? So your parents were married?
Parents are married. And we moved, Sunbury is a little bit outside of Columbus, Ohio, so kind of in the middle of the state. Lots of cornfields. That's, flat, like nothing really that interesting about it. I grew up there. I was homeschooled up until high school. So I had kind of what I would consider a very hyper-religious upbringing.
Okay.
And
what was the religion?
Christianity, like evangelical Christianity. Okay. My parents definitely like chilled out over the years. They I think, I'm not sure why they were drawn to this. I don't know, just the time and place, but I was homeschooled so that I didn't learn about evolutionism in high school or in grade school. I went to creationist conventions and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I really enjoyed being homeschooled. I'm kind of an introvert, so this spoke to me.
Yeah.
And, when you condense down all of like the schooling that the day of class at a public school, you get to about 2 hours of actual education between breaks, lunch, and all that stuff. So we got that done, and then the rest of my days I was running around outside or playing with Legos or breaking my dad's computer, like stuff like that. So
I wonder if that contributed to because you're definitely and this is one thing that was a vibe I got right away that was like the connected to nature vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got like hippie tendencies in the best, and I mean that in like a really complimentary way. Do you know what I mean? Like very connected to nature. Yeah. That's the vibe I got from you right away. I wonder if that's part of that. I mean, I'm sure it is.
It was a little bit. I mean, I ran around outside quite a bit as a kid, and I got into like the jam band scene when I was in like my 20s and stuff like that.
Like Fish.
Some Fish.
Mo.
Like yes, like all.
I went to the University of Georgia in Athens, so sort of. I lived there, so like the jam band culture was very big in Athens.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Widespread Panic? It was like really big in the South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So,
that's cool. Okay.
So, but yeah, I guess like, I went to a public high school, and I went into public high school with 3 other guys that were also homeschooled. So I had like a little bit of a clique going into public high school, but it was jarring. Too. Yeah. Like it was, I was not, one of like the main, like I think downfalls of a homeschool education is you don't get a lot of social experience. And I was definitely like, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
My whole first like 2 years of high school was just trying to figure out how to fit in, how to have a girlfriend, like all of these things.
I was going to say, had you like dated or anything at that point? I mean, most people, I guess, in high school haven't dated per se, but usually you have like a little girlfriend or a boyfriend in middle school.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you hadn't had that experience.
No, go back to hyper-religious upbringing. My entire world was kind of centered around the church and the homeschool groups and like all of that. And one of the experiences that I did had was, I think now that I see just normal childhood developmental stuff, was me and a couple other guys had like some just childhood sexual development experience.
Okay.
Which when my family found out about that, very much my parents were worried that I was gay and therefore going to hell. And, I didn't see anything wrong with it when it happened.
Yeah.
And when I really realized or was given the information that it was wrong is when my parents confronted me about it. Okay. And in hindsight, I've talked to them about this since then, and they were trying to be loving, trying to be careful with it, but they were coming from this place of, extreme conservatism.
Yeah.
And so it was like this 4-hour conversation of having me replay the events and like I'm that 12-year-old guy talking to his parents about a sexual experience that is traumatic just on that level.
Totally, yeah.
And they were talking to me about it, and my mom was crying the whole time.
No.
And then they would have to take breaks, and they would send me out to stack firewood.
Oh, no.
And so I felt like I was being punished throughout the whole time.
Totally.
And not their intent.
Right.
But at that point, like, for me, that's like where the first seeds of addiction and alcoholism kind of like set in. My entire world is based around this belief system, and I'm now excommunicated. I am permanently damaged. I am possibly going to hell. Like, like not only am I excommunicated, my whole like immortal soul is now like trash.
And you really felt that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's how I internalized that experience. So, at that point, I really I just want to fit in.
Yeah.
And like, I want, rejected the whole notion of any kind of God, because if to believe in God means that I'm going to hell.
Yeah, then this thing is right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like, and when you really look at like, just logically from a higher power, like it doesn't make sense. So it's pretty easy to discount. Like, when you guys are all stupid anyway, like I'm just going to go the other direction.
Right. Totally. Okay. Was the situation abuse or
no? It was
like voluntary. We're not around girls. We're experimenting.
It was basically like a 10, 11, 12-year-old sleepover with other guys, and it was just kind of
So not abuse.
What do you got? They're touching,
Right,
like a little like stuff like that, but nothing like.
Okay.
But from the perspective of that culture,
Totally.
that is a huge no-no.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right. Yeah. So at that time, you started shifting away from the church, if nothing else, certainly internally, because I'm sure you still had to go.
Yeah, and I can remember, like, you know, I think it even happened prior to that. When I can remember being like 5 or 6, and we lived in a little suburb right outside of Ohio State campus. My dad was studying his degree at that time, and we had a Hindu neighbor, and I can remember walking directly up this Hindu guy who was a sweet man, and just telling him he's going to hell. And like telling it because I knew this was what I was supposed to say as part of this community, but still my heart was like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And feeling like kind of shame when I'm supposed to be like walking away from that conversation, triumphant, and like, yes, I'm doing the right thing. Look at me, like carry the flag or whatever, and like walking away like not feeling right about it.
Right. You know what though? I get that though, because growing up in Georgia, it was it was the same. Like the first question, you know, Stratton, he's around. I keep asking if you know people, and you're not going to.
No.
It's another HA guy. You'll meet him at some point.
Hope
and yeah, he's great. And he shared last week, and he said, you know, I'm from this town where the first thing you ask somebody was, what church do you go to? And we did that. And I forgot about that. And I had this like, you know, core memory unlocked when he said that. That's what we did too. And you either went to like, and you could make all sorts of, you could get all sorts of information based on what their answer was. If you went to the Catholic Church or the Methodist Church or the Baptist Church. And then if you went to like the Methodist Church like we did, you would even ask, which service do you go to? The 9:30 or the 11?
See how dedicated you actually are.
And if you went to the 11, you were like, you had like chiller parents. And we went to the 11 because my dad was definitely very chill. He played the guitar. He was in a band. We went to the 11 o'clock with like the cool dads. You know what I mean? Yeah, we got to sleep in a little bit.
Yeah.
And like it was such a part of what we did. Everybody went to Sunday school. We all got a confirmation when we were, 12. I went to Camp Glisson Summer Camp. It's a Methodist camp. Like, it was very much, it's just in the culture and the life, Unlike I'm so grateful for this. For whatever reason, even though we were in the Deep South, the Methodist church I went to was quite progressive. And so there was no weird, like some of the other churches definitely were like really conservative, but the Methodist church wasn't, you know what I mean? And so like I didn't pick up on some of that like religious trauma that I see so many people in 12-step, carry, like this kind of thing. You know what I mean? So after that, you go to high school. You said the transition was jarring.
I mean,
when do you start drinking or using drugs for the first time?
So, I probably drank a beer when I was like 12, 13, mostly normal high school stuff, like drinking, smoking weed, like nothing really that crazy in high school. It definitely took off. I definitely drank more than other people did.
Oh, you did?
When I was in high school. Like I didn't when I drank, it was hard to like sneak out of the house to be able to drink. But when I did, yes, it was definitely, I was the train wreck at the party. I was the guy doing like stupid stunts to like get attention. And like, I try to basically found this character of like the crazy guy that like people were like, oh, look, Eric, he's going to do the wild thing or whatever.
I can't even picture you like that. Like jumping off the house and stuff like that. I can't even picture
getting
you like
a stick and like pole vaulting over the bonfire, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You graduate from high school.
Graduated from high school. Immediately went into college. Like 3 weeks after I graduated high school, I went to DeVry until I failed out within the first year. I moved out about 2 or 3 weeks after I was 18 with a couple buddies from college, and then around the fall, a couple of my drinking buddies from high school, we all got a place together, and that became like the party spot.
Okay.
I somehow was able to go down to the corner store and buy beer, and I was like the only one of our friend group that was able to do that. So people just gravitated toward this little crappy, 2-bedroom apartment in the middle of Columbus.
Were you still going to school at the time, or how long did that last?
In the beginning I was, and then, throughout most of my 20s, I failed out of college like 3 or 4 times.
Okay, so you would fail out, go somewhere else, or go back, and then fail out again.
Exactly.
What did you do for work to like pay rent, pay for alcohol, whatever?
Restaurants, construction. Okay. I was a cable guy for a while, delivered pizzas for a while, like those kind of things.
Okay.
So
when does that escalate from alcohol to whatever's next?
I mean, I was definitely drinking alcoholically by the time I was 20, every day, as much as I could. I also grew pot professionally, like, circa 2002, 2003.
At the house?
At other houses, yes.
Okay. How did you do it? Like in a closet with lights and stuff?
I had like 3 or 4 bedrooms set up in one house that I had.
Oh,
and we
wow.
were like harvesting pounds of pot. You could smell my house from like a block away. I'm surprised I never got arrested.
You never got busted for that?
No.
Wow.
No.
Where would you source the weed, and then how did you learn how to grow it? Oh, High Times magazine. Remember High Times magazine?
Yes, I do remember High Times. That was absolutely just the internet. Like just figure it out. And
anytime I think of High Times, I think of hydroponic wheat, and I don't even really know what that means. It means water, whatever. I don't know if that's still a thing, but like hydroponic weed in the 90s and 2000s was like such a big deal. I remember I remember my brother and his friends talking about hydroponic weed.
Yes.
Okay, so you grew it on your own, and you sold it.
And I sold it. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Never really made a lot of money on it, but I liked growing weed. By far was my first love.
Okay.
It was the first thing that, like, when I started to smoke, like I just felt okay.
Totally.
I just felt like whatever that thing that I kind of picked up somewhere earlier in childhood, it just felt like constricting to be in my own skin. It just felt like I'm walking through sandpaper. Like being a human being was like nearly impossible.
Yeah.
And we like treated that feeling really, really well.
Were you smoking daily at around the same time? Okay,
As
so
much as I
drinking
could.
daily, smoking weed daily.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, in high school, we were trying to grow pot like in my buddy's closet in his parents' house. Like we were, as soon as I like found drugs and alcohol, that's all that I wanted in my life to revolve around, because it made me feel okay.
Yeah.
And I just did not feel okay inside myself for as long as I can remember.
So where do we go from there in terms of drug use?
So around the age of like 21, I got like really heavy into cocaine for a little while, probably like 6 months. But
what was your first experience with cocaine? Do you remember how it came up?
I had a friend that kind of introduced me to it, and like I like to party, so and a lot of my high school buddies were like kind of going through a phase with that stuff as well. So, I probably did it every day for like 6 months, but then your nose bleeds, you don't sleep, you don't eat, and I like to sleep. So
Yeah.
I like uppers because they allow me to do more downers. I'm not an uppers guy.
Okay.
So,
and you just stopped on your own.
Yeah, I just like, this is just not sustainable. It's really expensive. It's, it's just not, I couldn't maintain my life. So I put it down and, was like, all right, I'm just going to do, this is where like the hippie thing like comes in. I'm just going to do all natural stuff.
Yeah.
Mushrooms, weed, craft beer, and whiskey was what I was just going to stick to that for, and I did that for probably like 4 or 5 years, maybe dabble with other stuff here and there, but it was primarily that. And it was manageable, I definitely should have gotten some DUIs. I definitely wrecked some cars. But, I owned my own car. I had a house. Like I was generally like on the outside, like doing well for like an early 20-something guy, kind of had my stuff together. It was still like attempting to go to college on the side as well. But like, other than that, like I was doing all right.
Okay.
And, I think throughout my life, probably one of the biggest like problematic things has been relationships. And they kind of like punctuate different periods of my life. And so the relationship in my 20s was like this girl she was getting her college degree. She was beautiful. She was like a little bit younger than I was. She was driven, motivated. She was actually going to become a cop. She was getting her criminology degree at Ohio State at that time. And I figured like, this is my get out jail free card. I could just be the growing hippie guy, like, grow weed, and she's going to be my get out jail free. This is perfect.
Yeah.
She didn't see it that way.
Right.
We we were together. We lived together for like a year and a half. We were together a couple years. And toward the end of that, I could tell the relationship was starting to go south. And I'd begun to dabble with opiates here and there. Like I busted my hand on a construction site and was prescribed painkillers and realized I really like these things. They're fantastic. But I think, the cost for like feeling okay inside myself is relationship. For me to medicate that thing that it makes me feel not okay also makes it really difficult for me to connect to anything.
Okay.
Anything else.
Like the price you pay is loss of relationships.
Yes.
When you're seeking whatever substance.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that what led you guys to break up? Or when you broke up, is that when the opiates like accelerated?
Yeah. So like I could see the relationship ending, and I felt like the best thing to fix that was to propose. So I did a really half-assed, terrible proposal.
What'd you do? I want to know.
I don't know if I've ever told this part too. I think literally it was like me getting out of the shower, still wearing a towel, her sitting on like the couch downstairs in the living room, like, I really think I want to marry you, and like we should really like I want to like propose. And so it was like a really half-assed proposal.
Did you have a ring?
What's that?
Did you have a ring?
No. I was just trying to keep her because
Okay.
I felt so not enough.
Right.
Like the longer that I went on, just like trying to put on this facade of like I'm making it in the world, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
The more that I felt not okay and not enough inside myself. And she was successful, and she was like a well-adjusted human being. And so as long as she was with me, I was enough.
Totally.
So the proposal was not even really because I loved her. It was because she was my enoughness. And so the next day after that, she moved out, took the dog.
Wait, did she say yes when you asked?
No,
Eric.
No.
Oh, shoot. What did she say? No, forget it? Or she just politely was like, oh, maybe, and then left?
No, she was pretty firm, like, no, this is, we're done. Like, this has been, like, we were kind of going different ways for a little while, so it was a long time coming, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But breakups.
Wait, she took a dog too?
Yeah, I've lost a couple dogs in relationships. Yeah.
We were just talking before we started speaking about losing another dog. Oh, that breaks my heart.
That was my favorite dog.
Really?
He was like a 200-pound English Mastiff.
Oh
he was the sweetest dog you've ever met.
What was his name?
Bruno.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We got robbed one time. This was a thing that people were doing around Ohio State campus, because that's where I was living at the time, where people would break into your house, steal your car keys, load up your car with all of your stuff, and then drive off.
Oh, wow.
So somebody had broke into our house, put all of our like valuables, like video game systems and like all that stuff that's valuable in the early 2000s, in a laundry basket, moved her car around to the backyard, and Bruno didn't even bark. I think he just walked downstairs, all 200 pounds of him, and looked at the guy, and the guy was like, oh, I don't want any of this.
And he left?
And he left. And all of the stuff was there. Her car was still in the backyard. But yeah, Bruno was a great dog.
Oh, wow.
Sweetest thing ever, but you did not mess with him.
Right. So, yeah. So she leaves the next day.
She leaves the next day. All of my enoughness leaves with her. And opiates, Little Blue Perk 30s. At the time were really cheap. And I was making good money, was wiring houses at that time. And that quickly progressed to Oxycontin. And for about the next 3.5 years, I'm doing opiates every single day. Because not only do they numb physical pain, they numb emotional pain.
Right.
And breakups are rough, but when she takes all of your enoughness with you, that's devastating. And that's not her fault in any way, but that's my own brokenness that I try to get other people to fix inside of me.
I like how you put that, my enoughness. I totally understand that.
Right.
And I feel like that's probably one of the hardest things to beat. Even when I met my husband, I had, 3 years, and he was like relapsing and struggling in the beginning. But for some reason I saw him as way more like it was my enoughness also. Something about Skylar made me feel like, no, I am legitimate. Yeah. Yeah. And I really felt that with him in particular a lot, and that was at 3 years sober and 37 or something, I think it's a hard thing to, and being totally honest too, even some of the times that he relapsed later, there was a piece of me that felt like, okay, but he needs me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He needs me. If he's not using, he doesn't need me. If he's not using, he doesn't need an older lady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like I'm some old lady, but you know what I mean? Like, you can find a 25-year-old who's also from the rich family that wants kids or something. You know what I mean? Like, it was always, and like, I had to get really honest about that kind of stuff while it was happening.
Yeah.
Now, by the last relapse, that's not how I felt anymore. I was like, no, sir. No, I don't need this anymore, But,
yes.
Left. Were you snorting oxys and snorting the perks?
Yeah, primarily.
Okay.
I always looked down at people that injected drugs because they were dirty junkies, and I was just doing doctor prescribed stuff that wasn't that big of a deal at the end of the day. It was widely thought that this stuff was not that addictive at that time because that's what the drug companies were saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, like probably every T-shirt that I owned had a green stripe on the inside because I'd lick the coating off an Oxycontin 80 and like wipe it off on the inside of a green shirt. And then every pair of pants I owned had a cigarette burn right in the crotch because I would nod out and burn my pants.
Totally.
So that was just kind of my uniform, was just the Oxycontin uniform. When that went on for about 3.5-ish years, maybe 4 years, and then they reformulated Oxycontin. And so it made it harder to get in. OCs became OPs, and I saw a lot of my buddies that were doing that transition to heroin. I was like, I definitely don't want to do that. That's junkie shit. I don't want to be a junkie.
Right.
So I quit. I went to my parents' house. I detoxed on their couch for like a week and a half. It was excruciating. No medication whatsoever, just cold turkey, quit doing Oxycontin.
Okay.
My parents were not okay with me smoking weed in their house, so I just quit doing everything. And I just went through one of the worst weeks of my entire life.
Did they know that you were detoxing? Did you tell them?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was obvious at that point that I was like getting really strung out.
Okay. Did you still have a house at that point? Did you live somewhere?
No,
you'd become homeless.
Yeah.
When do you become homeless? How does that happen?
Well, I mean, I was probably renting rooms from people at that point. So like when I say I had a house, I didn't own a house.
Right. No,
I was renting a house, but I was able to pay my bills, all of that at one point.
Yeah. Like you lived inside versus outside.
Yes.
I totally understand. I have both lived inside and outside, but never owned a home.
Homelessness didn't come in until almost the very end of my story.
Okay. So you may have been renting a room somewhere, but you went to your parents' house to kick.
Yes. And I knew I needed to like remove myself from all the people that I was hanging out with because everyone was doing pills at that point.
Okay.
And I knew that like if I continued to hang out with these people, that was going to continue to happen. So my parents saw what was going on, wanted to help me out. I think around this time is also the first like 12-step meeting that I ever went to. I had a friend that was, she had like 7 or 8 years sober at that point, and she could see what was happening. You can spot each other, right? Sober or not, we like, I see you. And she took me to a meeting, and at that meeting, it was hindsight probably a good meeting, but I was 100% sure that the whole 12-step world was a cult. Like they were holding hands, they were praying together, they were like have these weird sayings that they all say in unison. Like it was 100% a cult. Hindsight, definitely not a cult. And to be fair, some parts of AA, or I don't say AA, but like 12-step world. Cultish, yes. Yeah. So
but it's voluntary.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you went and felt like it was culty.
So it was culty. Okay. And at this point, I was still like just, had a huge thing against religion, hated God, have family members that, pray in tongues or believe they, perform exorcism. They can prophesy. Like these are all things that are like, there's very much like a charismatic influence in a lot of like my extended family's Christianity. So all of that fun stuff.
Like evangelical stuff.
Yeah. So like
if I'm using that word right, I'm thinking
think like Pentecostal.
Right, like tents, snakes, get tongues, and they can make money if they give a sermon, that kind of thing. That flavor was definitely in there as well. So okay.
If I'm like kind of skeptical on the whole Christianity thing, and I see that, I'm like, no, this is weird. Right.
Like at the 12-step meeting, when you saw the God stuff, you were like, forget it. I've been here and I'm not interested again.
Yeah. Okay. I know like you're all going to tell me I'm going to go to hell eventually. You're going to be really nice to me and then subtly like pity me and shame me and tell me that like I'm not good enough and I need to like toe the line and pretend that I'm good enough to be a part of this weird thing that's happening here, and it's all fake.
Okay.
So wanted nothing to do with that. told my parents that I was going to, 12-step meetings all the time. Never went. I would go park in some parking lot and do drugs and come back like I was gone to the meeting. And, after detoxing my parents' couch, I went out, and one of my dad's clients owned like this cable installation company. So I went and got a job for him. And the first guy training me was a heroin addict. And so I'm like 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks sober at this point. And I just started to try to drink again before that, because I'd just gone cold turkey on everything and had drank a little bit, just not even getting drunk, but just to take the edge off.
Totally.
Because when I don't have something to treat that not enoughness inside of me, like it's like someone has tightened a spring inside my head, like a notch or two every single day, and it is going to snap. If I exist long enough here without something to treat that, then eventually my brain starts to try to fix that problem. And substances fix that. But if substances are not an option, existing is not an option either. Okay. Because existing is painful.
Yeah.
It's excruciating. So riding around with this guy in our cable van, getting trained, and I could see him like stop at his house and come back out happy after like 15 minutes being inside his house. And like, I know what that is. So within a couple days, I started doing heroin.
Oh, shit. After never wanting to.
Yeah. No, I was against it, but I was sick.
Yeah. You're still a little dope sick too, right? Or you mean like
a little bit
spiritual malady
spiritual
sick?
malady. Yeah. Like,
okay.
I'm just not okay. And I've taken away like all of like the solution, the thing that makes me feel okay, because like I had a counselor in treatment who was a pastor who got hooked on opiates while being a pastor. And one of the things he said to me that like made me like him was like, doing opiates are like a warm hug from God. Like, it is a spiritual experience. Like he would say, I've had many spiritual experiences inside my body. A fat line of Oxycontin 80 feels exactly like a spiritual experience of me like praying at a beach somewhere.
That's hilarious. We love an honest pastor. Yeah. That's so funny. That's fucking, I've never heard that. That's so funny. How did you say to him, I know what you're, like, do you remember how that conversation went? And was it smoking or shooting? At
that point, it was like smoking.
Okay.
That's, it took me probably another year or two to get to shooting after that. I really only shot for like a year and a half.
Okay. So you start smoking every day?
I try not to.
Right.
I'm going to get Suboxone, maybe a little Adderall, some Xanax, and I'll just do heroin on the weekends. And I've got all this other stuff to kind of like just prop me up throughout the week. I can really just get wrecked on the weekends and everything will be okay. And that lasted like 3 weeks.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I need this cornucopia of medication to be able to effectively just do heroin on the weekends, and it's impossible to find everything that I need at the right time. So heroin just comes in, and I start doing more and more and more. So I would say within, 6 months of doing that job, I'm back to smoking, and pretty quickly after there, shooting. And cable job is a great job for a drug addict.
Is it?
Oh.
Yeah, because wait, you're totally on your own, right?
Totally on
Do
your
you
own.
even go to an office in the morning or no?
Yeah, you go to the office in the morning, you pick up all your cable boxes and your modems.
And then you leave.
And you leave. But what's better than that, especially if you work in some of these like worst neighborhoods, you show up to a house and like, you owe Time Warner $500. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go climb the pole back there, get you hooked up. I was never here. You give me $100 and it'll last for as long as it lasts.
That is a great hustle.
So yeah, I was doing that for years.
What a great idea.
So
I love when I hear new hustles on the show that I haven't heard yet, and I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, so that was one of my first ones. And then just make it look legal. They would get cable for $100 for probably 6 months. They come around and audit things and shut it off, and everybody's happy.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
So
you keep that job for a little while. Are you living at home with your parents for that whole time, or?
Mostly, yeah. I think I tried to move out a couple times, but I was just staying at my parents' house. Really, the last 3 years of my drug addiction was mostly based out of my parents' house.
Did they know you were using?
Absolutely.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay. They just didn't want to kick you out.
I would have like these moments of like turning it around and like look, I'm looking better, and then there'd be moments where I just looked totally strung out.
Did they ever confront you?
A few times, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember one time, like, mom crying, me having faked a couple of pee tests for them, like, 'cause that's just a problem that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
It's, easy to solve that.
How did you pass P-test?
I don't remember the exact way, drinking the drinks and like doing those things. I heard recently a sponsee of mine, and I was like really impressed with the way he did this. His girlfriend was testing him, right? So she had the cup, and it has to read temperature, and then it shows up. So what you go in the bathroom with the cup, he would fill it with hot water. Or no, you'd fill it with water, so everything would register, dump it out, and then pee in it, and so the temperature would register after the fact.
Oh,
I was like, dude, that's
gosh.
great. I love that.
That is a good idea.
So you fill it with water, it just registers all the drugs, and then you pee in it, so it registers the temperature.
And it looks like pee.
It looks like pee.
But she obviously wasn't going in the bathroom with him, though.
No.
That's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do,
But wow, that is a really good idea.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that one.
Hustles and passing P-test, man. I love this kind of shit.
Okay.
Because we are so smart.
We are, yeah.
And we can figure anything out,
It's
we just have to use our powers for good, not evil.
People that make it through addiction, I think there's a certain amount of like Darwinism, a certain amount of like natural selection that happens. And so if you made it through that, you're probably exceptional in some way.
I agree.
Because
I totally agree.
A lot of us don't make it.
Yeah, we're incredibly resourceful.
Yes.
We're incredibly, and obviously, some of that is like luck and this and that, but like the resourcefulness, coming up with passing drug test, like I think that I love that. You are exceptional in some way.
Absolutely.
And it may not be academics or some way that people were looking for when you were a kid, so you didn't feel like it. But like I can sit here and promise you are exceptional in some way.
100%.
I completely agree with that.
I would stand on that no matter what.
Damn, that was a good idea, your sponsee had. That's great. Yeah. Because then it can't pop twice.
No. So he's good.
Wow.
Survived a couple months like that.
Totally, yeah. Okay, so you're getting away with these tests somehow.
So getting away with the test, they did a hair follicle test, and there's no faking that. And that was like towards the end. But they didn't know what to do. They didn't want to kick me out. I'm slowly like disintegrating in front of those. They're watching their son die in front of them very slowly. And I think eventually like I move out to some crack house just because like coming home is not bearable at that point.
Like you could, but you don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm absolutely shooting heroin at this point and smoking a lot of crack because eventually opiates, you do them long enough, you get well, you don't get high.
Right.
And
when does the crack come in? Right around now, this time? Yeah,
it's about like the last year and a half of my addiction. Some kind of upper. There's a little meth sprinkled in there too, but in the area I grew up, you either hung out in the crack crowd or the meth crowd. The two didn't really mix for whatever reason. That was just the way it was. So I hung out in the crack crowd. So
so shoot heroin, smoke crack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And crack's terrible. It's like 5 minutes of fun and then 8 hours of staring out the window, waiting for the cops to show up. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but you're sure that they're coming either way. It's like 7 hours of paranoia. Yeah. But I am so uncomfortable at this point that I will do whatever it takes to get to 5 minutes of okayness. Yeah. Because then life is worth living. Without at least 5 minutes of being able to catch my breath and being able to relax, without that, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So that's really where like my story like gets really dark. Probably spending $150, $200 a day on drugs, which is really expensive. And so me and another friend start to counterfeit money in order to pay for this. Which I'm an economist and whatever I need money, let's just cut out all the middlemen and I'll start making my own. Worked fantastic for about 6 months. Okay. And really it sounds cool, sort of. I guess it doesn't really sound cool.
No, it does.
Okay, it sounds
No, it
cool.
does.
But we were just a bunch of junkies photocopying 20s. Okay. And there was probably 15 of us.
On regular paper?
Resume paper. So if you got 13% cotton resume paper, it was close enough. And the hustle was you went to a nice neighborhood and you spent it on something cheap. You bought a pack of gum or whatever. And the cashier in those nice neighborhoods wouldn't pull out the pen and try to market.
And they give you real change.
They give you real change.
Right.
So you go do that 5 times in 30 minutes and now you have enough money to stay well for the day.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So, and now photocopiers won't do it.
But yeah, we tried to upgrade our process.
And it won't.
I think anything made after like 2006 or 2007.
It tells you to call the FBI. So I was there once when somebody was trying to do it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm getting out of here!" And it went, and it said, "Please call," and it was like the IRS or something.
Wow.
And I was like, "I'm fucking out of here!" And I left. Yeah, I've actually interviewed him on this show.
Yeah.
He was a very good friend of mine, and he eventually got busted for counterfeiting and fraud and all sorts of stuff. But that one time he was trying to do it that way, and it like gave this weird message.
Yeah. No, we bought a newer printer because we thought we were going to be able to do it faster, better, whatever, and it wouldn't reproduce it in the same size. Older printers would just photocopy with whatever the image, but the newer ones, like, it would make the bills like half the size or whatever. So like, this is junk. This doesn't work. But probably 15 to 20 of us doing that every day for 6 months, $100 a piece, those numbers multiply, and to the point where the Secret Service get interested in what you're doing. And especially there's a bunch of bills floating around with the same serial number on it, it becomes really easy to track. And then you're the only junkie with a car. Now they have your license plate driving away from locations where you spent the same serial number bill. So they showed up to my parents' house.
The Secret Service?
Yes.
Do they come up in black SUVs?
There was one black SUV because I think they were doing research. I mean, they know this is just some junkie kid. Like, this is not like big time. So there was just two. They didn't like break down the parents' door or anything like that.
Okay.
But
oh my gosh,
they showed up to my parents' house because they had my license plate and they had a stack of paperwork like that thick on me. Like, dude, we got you. Like, there's no getting out of this. Like, we got you. And they tried to like get me to make a deal with them because they thought I was a part of like something like really big, and we were just a bunch of junkies.
You guys.
Yeah, just doing junkie shit. Like, you know, they did not arrest me.
Okay.
They told me that they were watching me.
Okay.
And they were going to try to like give me to like inform on people or whatever.
Okay.
There was no food chain for me to inform on. So
right.
I played along the best I could. But I just kept my mouth shut. And I just stopped hanging out with that crowd at all. And then my buddy, they showed up at the little like crack house that we were photocopying, and all the rest, a couple of the other people, like the next day were in the process of photocopying 20s, and that's where like the SWAT team and like the machine guns and all that came out.
Wow.
They showed up there.
Okay. So did it scare you into stopping?
Doing drugs?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Of course not. Because I honestly thought I was going to skate by.
Right.
And I thought, like, because they say, if you cooperate.
You thought you got away with it.
I thought I got away with it.
Okay.
Because they were like, no big deal, like whatever. We want like information from you, and then we won't charge you.
Okay.
But I didn't give them enough to make that worthwhile for them. And I'm so like out of it at this point. Like, I'm shooting, I don't know how much heroin a day, a lot. And I'm smoking crack every day. Like, so my cognition is pretty low. I'm just kind of surviving an animalistic level at this point, just trying not to be sick. I look like Kermit the Frog had a kid with Gollum. Like, I'm green, I'm spindly, I am sucked up. It's awful. Yeah.
Kermit the Frog had a kid with Gollum.
Yes.
That's such a specific image.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, that was me. And I knew that like somehow the end was coming. A couple months after they showed up at my parents' house, we got a call from the Secret Service agents. They need to go to like the local PD and turn yourself in. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, they said, maybe you'll get a misdemeanor or something out of this. And so I'm at the police department, and the guy goes, hey, I'm going to need like a mouth swab. We're going to do a DNA test on you. And like behind him on the wall is like, all new felons must submit DNA upon processing. I'm like, wait a second. What's happening here? Like, I'm getting I helped Mr. Secret Service agent out. Like, this is nothing, right? He's like, oh no, but you got 10 felonies.
Oh no.
What?
Had you even brought a lawyer with you? No.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
I had no idea what I was doing. And I had given the Secret Service enough, like, I admitted everything to them. I was completely out of my mind. And so I got charged with, basically they were able to very specifically tie 10 fake bills to me.
Okay.
And each bill, because I used the bills, was a possession of criminal tools and intent to defraud. So I got 2 felonies per bill, 5 bills, and so I got a 10 felony case.
Okay.
Off of that at that time. And then also around that time, I inherited about $10,000 from my grandfather. He had passed, and I wanted to quit. I was like, court's coming. You know, I started to go through the process of like the court dates and all that. Like, I gotta stop this. This has gotta end. So I spent like $5 of that $10,000 on a lawyer.
Okay.
And the other $5 I spent on, you know, I would go to a hotel room 3 hours away, and I would have
try to kick.
Yeah, my buddy drop me off with no car. I'd bring a little dope. I'd bring some Suboxone. I would buy the hotel room for a week, and I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm just gonna go through it, and I would make it like 3 days. The dope would run out, and I'd make it another day, and I'd call another junkie buddy, like, come pick me up. Me. I've got money. We will get high. Like, just come get me. And I tried that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I tried to go camping. Tried to like just all of this like stuff that just didn't work. And like one of the final like straws to that was I was at some terrible motel, and I had been about 24 hours since I'd done any heroin, and I had Suboxone, and I'm like fixated on the needle at this point. So I decided it'd be a good idea to like inject some Suboxone 24 hours after my last heroin use.
Oh no.
That was the worst 12 hours of my entire life.
Oh no.
Like, it felt great for about 3 minutes.
Oh no.
The first little opiate hit. And then I crawled to this terrible, awful, disgusting bathroom that had a sink and a toilet next to it, and evacuated from both ends at the same time for 3 hours straight.
Oh like, my gosh.
It was awful. Then the whole world spun. I literally had to crawl back to bed and hang on the bed for the next 12 hours so I didn't fall off.
Oh my gosh.
Everything, it was excruciating.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I got high after that, because that was awful. I needed something to kill that pain.
Yeah.
But like at that moment, like in the midst of that, I was like, this is the best that I can do. I have tried everything that I know how to try. I'm going to be a junkie for the rest of my life. And this is it. I just got to figure out how to be the best junkie that I can. There is no way out of this. I'm stuck. Because I've literally set myself up and knowing in my heart, like, I want to stop. You know, I don't want to be sober, but I want to stop doing heroin. And I can't keep doing this because look at where this, and like, you know, you can think the culture that I grew up in, and I'm looking at a lot of prison time, there's all like the stereotypes and all of the stuff that happens, and I'm a little country boy that like doesn't know anything about that, and like, so going to that you know, scared me.
Yeah.
It was really like that scared the shit out of me. So the court case continues to go on for a year. I find new schemes to get money.
Still using this whole time?
Still using, yeah.
Okay.
You know,
what kind of prison time are you facing? 20 years or something crazy? I mean,
no, I mean, it was all state level stuff. I had one friend that got charged federally, and he spent a couple years, like 3.5 years, in federal penitentiary.
But prison.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I figured out I had a car that was like a decent car at the time. It was a little like Mercedes SUV that was like older. It wasn't like nice. It just happened to be Mercedes. It was a hand-me-down from my parents, and it was fully insured. They had paid for the insurance for a year up front. So another one of my favorite scams is insurance fraud. So in Columbus, there's a Progressive Claim Center that you can drive in, and if you have damage on your car, they'll come out, inspect it, and cut you a check on the spot. So I have a fully insured car that's immaculate. So I had one of my junkie buddies like rub the corner of his truck up across the whole left side of the car.
Oh,
and they're like, well, that's totaled. You need $5,000 to fix that.
Oh my gosh.
3 weeks later, the right side has been run up against to an embankment. And it's like winter time, so it's like conceivable that the roads are icy and like maybe it's actually happened.
Right.
So now I've totaled out the car twice, like another $5,000 because it's worth about $5,000 at that time.
Oh my gosh.
And then 3 weeks later, the front end screwed up because I had run into something on purpose.
Right.
And I get another $5,000.
Holy shit.
And I got a title loan before doing all this stuff on my car. I got another $5,000.
Oh my gosh.
And then after I totaled the car, I sold it to a junkyard because I'm going to get another not a real title, but I got another title for it and sold it to somebody that I didn't even own the car at that point.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That kept me in drugs for like the last 2 or 3 months of
holy shit.
Everything. Yeah.
That is commitment.
Yeah.
Where are you living this whole time?
Mostly, it's funny. The part of Columbus is that it's right next to where there's the Scioto River that runs through Columbus. It's called the Bottoms.
Okay.
So I literally spent the last like 3 or 4 months, 5 months of my addiction in the Bottoms.
Right.
And that's, kind of where I had my experience of like talking to God, was at the very end of that. Court case goes all the way through. I'm a first time felon. I'm an overachiever and I get 10 all at once. Still first time. And the Grand Theft Auto with the car hasn't really like come through yet.
Oh, you ended up getting arrested for that?
No, my parents took care of that for me as well.
Okay.
Because that ended up like that loan ended up becoming due after I went to treatment.
Right. So. Oh, okay, got it. On the title loan that you got.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the court case goes through, and I get told, go to a Suboxone clinic, go to some state-funded counseling, do drug court, be good for a year, and we drop everything. It will be like it never happened. All you got to do is make it a year. That was like December like 12th ish, 2013. December like 20th, 2013. I'm like dragging my heels, getting into the drug court, like missing appointments, and then I get picked up for shoplifting. So my deal is done.
Oh no.
So I'm going to go out there, retry the case at that point. Like I'm screwed. I'm definitely going to jail at this point.
What were you stealing?
I stole a camera.
Okay.
And it's really stupid.
Like a disposable camera?
No, like
a nice
digital camera.
Okay.
So like think, 2013 digital cameras are still pretty big.
It was like a thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
from where?
Kohl's.
Okay.
So
Kohl's will get you.
Oh, well, I got out of Kohl's with a camera.
Oh.
Yeah. Where my dumbass screwed up is I didn't have the power cord.
Oh no.
And I know like I can't take this to my dealer and sell it unless I prove it works.
Yeah.
If I prove it works, he'll give me a little bit of drugs for it. But if I can't prove it works, then I'm screwed. So I go back into Kohl's after having made it out with the camera.
To get the power cord?
To get the power cord.
Eric, oh my God.
The cops met me at the front door.
Was the camera on you when you went in?
No.
You brought it back. You hid it somewhere.
I stashed it outside and was just going back in to make sure that I had that part.
Oh my gosh.
They met me at the front door. But, the court case was like it was like a week after, so the paperwork was still finalizing on that. So the cops arrested me and released me.
Okay.
But I knew like once these two things cross paths, I'm screwed.
Totally.
And then I also know I have this like Grand Theft Auto charge that will probably come down the pipe as soon as this loan becomes due and I stop paying it and they start looking for the car and they find out I sold it to a junkyard. That's going to be another charge.
Right.
So I went to Christmas with my family and they saw me looking like Gollum and
Kermit.
Yeah. And stole some money from them.
Okay.
And then get back, and somewhere around December 27th, 28th, I'm sitting outside of a Night's Inn, which is, replaced with your local Momo, like just terrible, crack-infested hotel. And I definitely had done drugs that day, but I'm not like out of my mind. It's like a rare moment of like lucidity, sort of. And I'm sitting in my house at that time, which is my little SN pickup, which has all of like these body parts missing, and like it's just a terrible vehicle. And I can remember the door panels missing. I can remember what the dashboard lights look like, what time it was. And like I'm contemplating my life, and like I know what it means to be clinically suicidal. I'm not that. But when I'm doing the math on my life at this point, it just equals suicide. I'm going to go to prison. I have hurt everybody that cares about me multiple times. My parents want nothing to do with me. My friends, like one of my high school buddies, like just happened to be in the same part of town eating at a McDonald's as I'm walking by, like probably a week before this, and I walk in and I ask him for $20, and like the look on his face is like, who the fuck are you? You're not Eric. And there's just it existing, the drugs are not working anymore. And I'm going to go detox in jail. Just no. And so, it's funny, I don't believe in God, but like when we still pray, and my prayer at that point was like, hey dude, I'm fucked. Like if you're there, like, what I'm thinking, this is the end. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but like, I'm not going to be around much longer. I need help. And so I sit there for like 5 minutes and like, yeah, I knew there was no God, like whatever. And then my grandmother calls me. And my grandmother she's passed recently, but she was probably the most spiritual person. She was so on fire for Jesus. It was incredible. She would walk up to anybody, anytime, and just start talking about this. She would pray in tongues. She would lay hands on you. She gave like money to ministers. Like she was just about it, and she did not care what anyone thought. And she had called me up here and there. As always, Eric, you need to go to church. You want to come to church with me? Or like, you should go to this church. Or like, I heard this pastor talk. I think you'd go really listen. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to church. And so she's like, Eric, do you want to go to treatment? And I was like, yeah. Can you send me somewhere outside of Ohio? Because I don't like being here and the cops are looking for me. And then I made up some bullshit lie about like owing a drug dealer money and I need to pay off or they're going to come after my family. So you better give me $1,000 so I can do a bunch of drugs before you pay for me to go out of state to treatment and pay for me to go to a really nice bougie treatment center, because that's the kind of guy that I was at that point. You're giving me the biggest gift anyone has ever given me, and I want to rob you on top of it. That's where it takes me. Right.
Does she give you $1,000?
Yeah. No, she calls it she lives like 2 hours away, so she calls it my mom. Says,
okay. Give me 1 second. Yeah. I don't know why they're going nuts out there. I just hear their nails. I'm assuming, can you hear? They're like, so you ask her for $1,000, and what did she do? You're starting to tell me that.
Oh, so she lives like 2.5 hours away. So my poor mom had to come down to a really terrible part of Columbus and give me $1,000 so that I could, because it took them, I don't know, 4 or 5 days to figure out what treatment center to send me to.
Okay,
and like,
right.
I was just taking everything I could get on the way out. So they ended up, kind of give me an option between where do you want to go? We have 2 places. We have a 12-step place and we have a Christian place. Which one do you want to go to? And I chose the Christian place because I thought that was the lesser of 2 evils.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, because you thought it was a cult from that meeting.
It's 100% a cult.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't want anything to do with it.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Okay. So they sent me to a place in San Juan Capistrano, January 1st, 2014. I get put on a plane high out of my mind, and I land there and get picked up at the airport and begin detox January 2nd, 2014, which is my sobriety date.
And you've been sober ever since?
I've been sober ever since.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely taken painkillers. I've definitely, done Suboxone as part of the detox process, but I have not used anything not exactly as prescribed since that time.
Wow. So what was your experience like at the treatment center? I mean, what started to change for you? Because you weren't like into it at first, right? I feel like I remember this a little bit. I mean, I guess no one is.
No one wants to be there. Yeah. I was hell-bent on only being there for 30 days.
Okay.
That was like the first thing I was sure of. And, I started to physically get a little more well. Like when I got there, I literally couldn't put words together in the right order. I would run into walls just walking. Like I was not coordinated. Like I was just deteriorated to such a point physically and mentally that existing was just tough on that level. I couldn't sleep for probably 45 days, maybe an hour or 2 at night for the first about 45 days. And, it was a great facility. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you take away the only thing that makes me feel okay and I'm not provided with something else to replace it, I get worse.
Yeah.
And slowly, the way that I'm a logical guy, right? Like I can problem solve really, really well. Need $500,000, print my own. Like I'm great at problem solving. But my brain starts to deal with this problem of not okay, and it starts to go down the list of things. And at the bottom of that list is suicide. But it starts to understand that the longer that I'm without something to make me feel okay, the closer I am to that, and ultimately I will get there, because existing the way that I've existed for most of my life at this point, that's the only option that I have. And so I get better physically, I put on weight, I look a little more human, a little less frog-like, and but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, it's all bad. It's worse every single day.
Okay.
I had one of my case manager, I grew up in cornfields in Ohio, and she was a little surfer chick from Huntington Beach. And I heard her story at one like alumni event or something like that, about 30 to 40 days in. And she felt the way that I felt. She had been through the things, totally different circumstance. She had mostly been an alcoholic, I'd mostly been an opiate addict, but like the underlying thing I think is universal, regardless of the substance or even the kind of addiction. And she felt the way that I felt, and she had light coming out of her eyes. She was okay. You could tell that she was in her own skin and she was comfortable at the same time, and that blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
I like, how do you do that? So the next day, like, I'm in her office trying to talk to her, and like, what do I need to do? Because whatever this is, it's not working. I'm dying. And she said, you probably get a sponsor and work the steps. And that was the last thing. I wanted a pill. I wanted like some kind of yoga. I wanted like do the right meditation or therapy. Like give me anything, fix me, right? And she, I come to the realization too at that point that like my grandmother told me like, hey, you're gonna get one shot at this. I will pay for as long as you want to be there, as much treatment as you need. But if you leave, you don't give it your best, I'm never paying for this again. And I said, thank you, Grandma. I appreciate that. This is the best gift anyone's ever given me. But I now like being given an option of something to do that I was totally against doing. If I don't do that, I felt like I was like spitting in Grandma's face.
Okay.
I could go back to Grandma. Treatment didn't work. But if I gave it everything that I had and it didn't work, I'm clean. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I knew like there's something that I didn't, I'm a scumbag.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to be that. So I got a sponsor, went through the steps, and somewhere around 3 or 4 months sober, like that not okayness just began to lift. And really, from the day that I asked him to sponsor me, I knew in my heart like I'm going to go through with this process. I could feel a shift. Even before I started to do any work, there was something that shifted inside of me at that point.
Why do you think that happened?
I think divine time and human time are two separate things. I don't think we earn sobriety. I don't think you'd work the 12 steps and you get sober. You're given a gift ahead of time, and then what do you do with it? And so I was kind of given like God, whatever God is, I still to this day don't know. But whatever that thing is, like saw that like this, yes, this is it. And I think,
Explain that a little bit further. What do you mean? You are given the gift for, explain what you mean by that.
So like, you don't like work all 12 steps and then become sober.
Right. Okay.
You're given sobriety.
Right. You're given it first.
You're given it first.
Yeah.
And so it's not earned. It's not deserved. It's entirely grace.
So you can start experiencing the benefits before you work the 12 steps. I agree with that too, actually.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, there were many like awakenings, many like things that I can remember through the process, like where there were profound experiences where like, yes, this is it. Like, but a small taste of like, it showed up like the first 45 days-ish of that treatment center. I'm plotting my escape from this bougie-ass treatment center every single day. There's no locks on the doors. There's no one keeping me there. But like every day I'm like thinking about what crime I'm going to commit, how I'm going to get money, and how I'm going to go find drugs. 18 hours a day, or more than that, because I'm only sleeping like 3 hours a day. Yeah. So 21 hours a day, that's all that I think about for 45 days straight. And that just stopped. I don't know why that is, but that in hindsight, that's what happened. Yeah,
that's that gift showing up before you start working the steps. What was your experience with the steps as you go through them?
It was. I've gone through the steps 4 or 5 times in 11 and a half years ish, and the first time through, there was something that shifted immediately. But there was definitely like bigger shifts that happened around the 4th step. Before I even got the chance to like do the 5th step and tell everything to my sponsor, I went to this like 4-step workshop and did an entire 4-step in a day. And at the same time, like, because I smoked a lot of crack, I have like 4 teeth that are all split and rotting out of my face, and all the nerves are like fried at the same time. So I'm going through the tooth pain on 4 different spots in my mouth at the same time, trying to take Advil and whatever that gel stuff is that doesn't work at all.
Right.
So I'm in excruciating pain. I'm walking home because I don't have a cell phone at this point. I don't have a car. I have to walk 2 miles from the sober living to where this workshop was. And I'm walking by bars and I'm looking at liquor bottles on the ground that are half full next to me. And I'm like, I don't want to drink. That's fucking wild. Yeah. And like by the time I get home, and I can't sing at all, and I'm literally singing like Amazing Grace at the top of my lungs, just like in pain and happy at the same time.
Because you didn't want to drink.
Because I didn't want to drink.
Wow.
Like pain's still there, but peace alongside of it.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's probably like my biggest experience of what God is. I think we kind of misunderstand like whatever creative intelligence, source, spirit is like this like Santa Claus thing that's gonna come down to fix our problems for us. And my experience of this thing that I found here in the 12-step world is very much a God that will suffer with me. So when I go through stuff, God suffers with me. I get a space that's bigger than my own capacity to contain suffering and to experience suffering, and I know that like I'm held through those experiences.
Okay. You said something that night that I really loved too, which was you think sometimes people have the idea that you have to seek out a God that's outside of you, but it's actually in you. Will you share that analogy again?
Yeah. So I think it's page 55 in the big book says, deep down every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. It may be obscured by pomp, by calamity, by worship of other things, but in some form or other, it is there. And you know, I think one of the things that I think is tragic about the 12-step world is we get to step 2 or 3 and we're told to like create your own higher power. Go, what are your 10 attributes of God? And like, I understand the exercise and it's not really like a harmful exercise, but one of the ways that I understand God is the thing that we exist in, and it's the thing that's inside of us already. And so trying to create a God is like telling a fish to go to the other end of the pond to find water, and they will find it. But they had to go through a whole bunch of crap they didn't need to go through because they were already swimming in it. Deep down in every man, woman, and child is the idea of God. When I work with people, depending on where they're at with their own spirituality, like I don't really care or spend time on them trying to figure out what God is. The process of the 12 steps for me is removing the pomp, the calamity, and the worship of other things that blocks us from that which is already there. There's something that makes me different from a rock. There's something that makes me different from an inanimate object. There's life, there's source, there's consciousness, there's spirit, there is soul. And for me, like, addiction is the separation from the connection to that inside of me. And that's why relationships die, because like the best form of relationships is soul to soul.
Right.
Whether it be romantic or platonic, like when we really connect, it's at a soul level. It's not the superficial stuff, right? So if I'm not connected to my own soul, I can't connect to you, and those relationships will die.
Yeah.
And I don't notice it so much in me because I'm numbing out that pain of disconnection. I notice it when it happens around me.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I love everything that you said. I loved it that night too. So how do you do a third step with someone that you're working with?
So, you know, I don't think it's, you know, when I talk to somebody and say like, hey, do you have a soul, or is there something different between you and an inanimate object? Like, yes. Cool, that's enough.
Okay.
The third step, and in the big book says the wording is optional, is a commitment to go through this process of uncovering pomp, calamity, and worship of other things. And I'm confident that if they do that thoroughly, honestly, source will be revealed.
Okay.
No matter what they think it is, they don't even have to think it is. Actually, I think the less that they think about what it is,
right,
is better.
So just the process of doing a 4-step and then going through character defects and starting to meditate, that's all. So you don't have to spend a ton of time on that.
No, because
on that 2 and 3 list.
What is God?
Yeah. I love that.
Like, I can't describe it to you.
Right.
And if I did, any word that I would use, like, would fall short.
Totally.
One of my favorite spiritual things is the opening line to Way of the Dragon. It says, when the wise man points at the moon, the fool only sees the finger. This big book, these 12 steps, like, these things are just fingers that are pointing to the moon. And like, when we look at that finger, there's a lot of great fingers, but when we get so fixated on that, we miss the big picture. We like to put God in boxes. I like to think, this is God. When I meditate and I have a happy feeling, that's what God is. So I need to replicate that. And that is an aspect. God is also in the sorrow. God is also in the pain. God is also in everywhere. It is the water that we swim in. So we miss making 10 characteristics of God gives us a really nice bullseye to point at, but we miss the broader idea of what it could be.
Yeah. Okay.
So I try to not define it.
Okay.
Let them have their own experience, because I'm not a man of faith.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. You've said that.
I've had so many profound experiences along the way that I can't deny and I can't describe as anything but miraculous. So, and I'm confident that, like, if you know, for me, like, the removal of pomp is removal of ego, and ego happens both that I'm better than you or I'm worse than you. But when I see that I'm just the same as you, I can connect, right? Calamity is resentments and trauma and, like, all the stuff that happens to us along the way. And when we let go of that, a little bit of the light shines through. And then worship of the things is the idea that she will fix me, or the job will fix me, or the whatever will fix me, the clothes will fix me, the gym will fix me. Like, because in order to be fixed, we have to be broken. And source within us cannot be broken. I don't like the terminology of, like, spiritual malady that we hear in the 12-step world so much, because I don't think spirit can have malady. I think that disconnect.
It's the absence of spirit that is the malady.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do to connect to source, to spirit in your daily life at 11 and a half years now? Do you have a routine?
Yeah, absolutely. An avid meditator. Okay. I've been for 10 years. There are very few mornings that I miss with that.
What type of meditation do you do?
I like to sit in silence.
Okay.
And mostly what that means, I listen to my brain say stupid shit for about 10 to 15 minutes.
And you just breathe.
And I just breathe anyway.
Okay.
And I try not to focus on it, and I try to go back to breath.
Okay.
You know, there's a philosopher mystic that said, you know, silence is the language of God, all else is a poor translation. And, like, they've really, like, attached to that. And, like, there, you know, in 10 years of meditating every day, there probably have been a few moments, a handful, less than 5 probably, where I've really, like, oh my God, that was a spiritual experience. Yeah. But more often what meditation does for me is it allows me to see when God shows up externally, that if I'm not slow enough to see it, I miss it.
And that's what the 10 to 15 minutes gives you. So it's not that, oh my God, I really love that. So it's not that you're looking for God in the 10 to 15 minutes. It's that space of slowing down allows you to see God wherever it shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really cool. That also allows people to take pressure off the 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. I'm doing it right. I'm doing it wrong.
Well, I do look for him in the 15 minutes.
Right.
And I rarely find him there.
Right, yeah.
But the practice of looking allows me more practice at seeing it everywhere else in my life.
Okay. Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
I fail at meditation every single day. I'm not a monk. I don't levitate. Like, it's mostly just me listening to chaos and, like, fuck her, fuck that guy's an asshole. God, I can't believe I fucked that up. Like, I'm such an idiot. I sound stupid. I look stupid. I'm small. I'm weak. Like, these kind of things. My thoughts are violent. You know, to this day, they're still violent and unkind, mostly toward myself. And being able to listen to that and know that, like, that's just, those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
They're not me. They're mine.
Okay.
Has been really, really helpful. And then that voice, whatever it is, like, shuts up, and there's usually a little bit of silence in there somewhere.
Yeah. So 10 to 15 minutes of meditation. What else do you do to connect, if anything? So
I usually start with prayer, meditation, then I usually will read for a couple minutes of something spiritual. And then I try to be of service. You know, I've sponsored people through most of the time that I've been sober. You know, right now, just, you know, I think me moving from Orange County to San Diego, it was part of the plan, because all of my sponsees either completed their steps or stopped calling me. a couple weeks before this move happened. So like, I'm always willing to sponsor anybody. And meetings, meetings are an important part of it, but probably the least important part in my opinion. Yeah. So I go to typically, right now it's a few a week, but for the last like probably 5 years, about one a week. Okay. And like that, as long as I have people to work with, as long as I'm doing my individual work with God, like I've, been placed in a position of neutrality that I am safe and protected. My job is to connect to that power that keeps me protected. I don't worry about drinking or using. I haven't for a very long time. Yeah. Like I don't crave. It's just the problem has been removed. Yeah. It does not exist anymore.
Yeah. So you didn't have a cell phone. You didn't have a car. Mm-hmm. How did you start to rebuild your life? What did that look like?
So the first year was a little chaotic. I got a job as a driver for a treatment center, and I also knew that like this court case was still pending. Oh, right. So like really like setting down roots in the first year was tenuous because I didn't know what was going to happen. Ultimately, about a year after I went to treatment, they retried the court case, and I pled guilty to one felony and was given, at the time of sentencing, 90 days of house arrest and 5 years of reporting probation. Okay. Where I was going to be in Franklin County, Ohio, and I would have to live there for 5 years. And I was pissed at God. Yeah. Because like I was doing all the service work. I was going to all the meetings. I was being a good little boy. Like I was like, I became like pretty hyper religious that first year of sobriety because like we do that. Because it was all a mask. I was scared. Fear drove my entire first year of sobriety. Yeah. And it kept me sober for a year. It was miserable. I was at 15 meetings a week. I was sponsoring as many people as I could get my hands on. I was doing all the commitments. So I was doing everything. I was trying to earn God's favor out of like this court case, whatever. So, and my sobriety is very much dependent upon the people around me. So yeah, I went back to Ohio, started in house arrest, and decided that, I was so disconnected from everything that was keeping me sober, and this kind of like relationship that I had with God at that point was still kind of superficial, even though I'd been given a lot of like spiritual gifts and like a lot of the obsession had been removed and all of that. And I'm sitting in my parents' house about 3 weeks into that because not even realizing like how dependent I was on meetings at that point, and that had all been taken away. And I made the decision to drink. I was like, my parents have like 1,000 bottles of wine in their basement. They used to brew wine, and they were gone for the weekend. I can get away with it. I can time it to the drug test where they're not going to catch it for probation. And I made the conscious choice to drink. And it was like my legs didn't work. It was like God like reached down and put his finger on my chest and like, you're not fucking moving.
Like you literally couldn't get up?
Like I literally couldn't move. And it's so like woo-woo and sounds so weird, but like this is my experience.
Not to me. Yeah.
And I was there for like 5-10 minutes or an hour, I don't know. And then sanity returned. I called my sponsor and like told him I just had this experience, and he was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But you don't end up living there for 5 years, right?
No.
What ended up happening?
So I ended up doing house arrest, and I actually met my probation officer like right before the experience with that, and she was like, I was like, hey, I got a deal worked out. I'm gonna do 90 days house arrest, and then I'm gonna go back to California. And she's like, the fuck? Your ass is mine, and you're gonna do exactly what I say. Go stand in this corner of my office while I talk to you.
Oh my gosh.
And you're gonna be stuck in Franklin County for the next 5 years.
Oh gosh.
The judge changed that.
Oh, okay.
At the end of house arrest, he's like, you've been a good boy. You're doing good work in California. Go back there and return. So I was in Ohio for like 4 months.
Okay. So you come back here and you start just putting your life back together, getting a job, getting a car, moving out, all the things that start to happen. Okay. Yeah.
That's when I started the adventure therapy business.
Okay.
We originally tried to start like a nonprofit to provide activities for people in early recovery to like connect them and provide another support system besides just like mutual support groups. And one of my buddies' dad was pretty well off, so he gave us like $25,000 to like do that. And I'm a terrible fundraiser, so as soon as we ran through that money, that was done. But I got all this experience like doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when like the idea was, let's try to sell this to treatment centers.
Yeah. And
did that for a number of years, probably like 3 years. The industry changed, and I went back to being a tech, and then worked my way up to a case manager and program manager, and then worked in the treatment center.
Yeah.
In different treatment centers from that point on. But
now you've got your own.
Now I have my own.
What's the name of it? And I'm going to link everything too in the show notes. What's it called?
It's called Sacred Journey Recovery.
Okay.
We're a men's only outpatient. We are located in Vista. We are very experiential based. So, you know, it's hard being a 12-step guy working in the treatment industry. You know, luckily, like one of my first mentors said there's two things happening here. There's recovery and there's treatment. You do not get paid for recovery. You do that for free. You get paid for treatment.
Right.
So I've seen many people like make the mistake of like, oh, treatment is my program, and it is not.
It's not your program.
It's not at all.
Agree. Yeah.
So I also, you know, from science tells us this too, but also from my own personal belief, like treatment centers are terrible at treating addiction. The success rates are god awful.
Right.
They don't do a good job at all. I see people that go to 30, 40, 50 treatment centers, you know, in a couple of years. Like it's like one step above a racket. Like it's not, there are a lot of great people doing great work and trying hard, but like when I just look at the big picture, it's not good. And so what we're doing is very much like my critique on the treatment industry.
Okay.
I think there are things that treatment is really good at treating. Trauma, you know, abandonment, relationship issues, like stuff like that. Like treatment can be very effective at that.
Yeah. Okay.
So in essence, like, we are very much like a men's trauma center. And you try to get guys to talk about their feelings, especially if they come out of a residential program for 30 days and they've talked about it 6 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's sometimes excruciating to try to get them to do that. So that's where the experiential stuff comes in. That's where we go on camping trips. That's why we go do wolf assisted therapy. That's why we have, you know, we were rappelling and rock climbing and like give guys access points to through their body that they can then experience emotions and understand how to dig into that stuff.
Oh, that's really cool.
So
that's amazing.
So yeah.
That's really cool.
You know, I said earlier that like relationships have kind of been like pivotal in the transition points in my life. A previous relationship that I had a number of years back, like my partner heavily critiqued my masculinity at the end of that relationship. Okay. And she was valid.
Really?
She was right. She had some really great points.
Okay.
You know, if you know, we were together for a long time.
Yeah,
you get to know somebody.
Okay.
Yeah. She had some really good points and that really
that's cool that you could see that.
Yeah, it was fair.
Okay.
Maybe exaggerated a little bit. Like she had some points.
Okay.
And so that really led me into a lot of like, what does healthy masculinity mean? Okay. What is men's work?
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing that is kept really heavy in the work that I'm doing now with guys is it is a lot of trauma work and it is a lot of healthy men's work.
Okay.
When I got done with treatment, I was a 14-year-old boy in a 32-year-old man's body. Emotionally, I was a wreck. I was immature. I could look back at my first relationship, 5 months sober. It was middle school at best.
Right.
So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm really passionate about I feel like I get to be in a space that does good work. I'm not just billing insurance to try to fix a problem that I'm not really going to be able to fix because, you know, so yeah.
You're just going about it a different way.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
Your parents and their religion, are they at peace with where you're at with it? Or is it something they try to talk to you about? Or is it like, oh my God, he was shooting heroin, now he's great, we're good?
You know, Junkie Eric came home to Ohio at a year sober and started to preach to them.
Right.
So
okay.
like I went through this metamorphosis where
Okay.
you guys have been wrong the whole time. I know the actual Jesus, and I'm going to tell you about that.
Okay.
But over the last 10 years, they've gone through their own like metamorphosis where they have.
I'm sure.
They have done their own work, and are in a place where like we're not involved with.
They're more open to whatever you're doing, and probably other people too.
They don't even go to church anymore.
Okay.
They have families that they meet with and they worship with together. Still very much are Christian, but like they had such a jarring experience on their own way after I did that they decided to leave.
Interesting.
That as well.
Okay.
So,
well, dude,
thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. This was fantastic, which I knew it would be.
A lot of fun.
I loved hearing your story that night at H&I, and I was so wrong. I was like, I thought he was like a trust fund kid.
No.
That's so funny. I know. And then you're talking about living in your truck in Ohio, and I was like, oh my God, it's about crack. I was like, oh my God, why did I think this guy was from like Laguna Beach, born and raised?
No, we like cut woods so we eat our house and grew our own food.
Yeah, no, I was like way wrong. That's so funny to me.
No.
But I mean, you present obviously very polished.
I'm a chameleon drug addict.
Yeah.
Drop me anywhere, eventually I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Eric.
You.
I just can't thank you enough. And like I said, we'll link all of the connections for the treatment center, and because this just sounds very, very cool what you're doing, like the experiential approach. I love that. I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
I want people to be able to check it out. So
appreciate that.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.